Kathy Arnett, Assistant Director. City Attorney Sam Beffa and Court Reporter Courtney Tallman are also present. First, I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, December 17th, 2020, and take official notice of the zoning ordinance of the City of Wildwood, including Chapter 400, Article 2, authorizing and establishing the Board of Adjustment's powers and duties. Now let me explain the hearing procedure. Please be aware the information I'm about to describe is also provided on the Board of Adjustment public hearing procedure handout, which was available online prior and up to tonight's meeting. This is an informal type of hearing. However, the meeting's proceeding will be recorded by a reporter for future transcription if needed. The petitions are called in the order listed on the agenda. As the petitions is called, I will ask a Department of Planning staff member to read each request into the record. Thereafter, the Department of Planning will have opening remarks and a brief slide presentation. Then the petitioner or their representative will be asked to state their name and address, be sworn in by the court reporter, and make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance and the hardship necessitating it. The board will only consider the nature and condition of the property and whether these factors mandate a variance in order to allow for its full utilization. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, the chair will then ask if there's anyone present online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to the request. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then state their comments. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional documentation or information. The board may also request a continuance to gather additional information or for a further visit to the site. After the conclusion of the input from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter if requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or any individual that is participating online. Additionally, any other information not presented in the previous testimony but pertinent to the request will be noted at this time. Once all speakers have been heard, the chair will call for a motion to grant or deny with or without conditions, then the board will vote. At that time, the discussion relating to the petition is concluded and no further input will be permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. 4 members of the board must vote in favor of the petition for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Kathy, are there any questions at this time? Hearing no questions at this time, the board will proceed. May the first request be read into the record, which will be followed by initial comments by the Department of Planning and a brief slide presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the first case tonight is 29-20, Larissa Fernandez, 115 Sweet Cherry Way, Wildwood, Missouri 63040. Requests an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of constructing a new sun deck onto an existing single-family dwelling, circa 2017, which is to be located upon the property addressed as 115 Sweet Cherry Way, St. Louis County locator number 24V640692, Lot 5A of the Manors at the Meadows at Cherry Hills subdivision. If granted, this variance would thereby authorize a front yard setback distance of 10 feet in lieu of the required 20-foot standard. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.150 R4 7,500 square foot resident district and Planned Residential Development Overlay District Ordinance 2060, which was approved by the City of Wildwood on November 10, 2014. This subject site is located in Ward 8. And Madam Chair and members of the board, before Kathy shares her screen and begins the slideshow, the Department of Planning would like to introduce into the record regarding this case the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2, Board of Adjustment of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code. Chapter 415, the zoning ordinance of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular case and all contents contained therein, including the department's recommendation report. And then finally, any testimony, evidence, items of information that are provided as part of the public hearing on this case tonight. Thank you. Madam Chair, if you allow, I think Ms. Arnett will share a screen and narrate the slide presentation. Thank you again.
Please and thank you.
Okay. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I can never see what you're actually seeing when you go into share screen. Okay, the first request is a property located on Sweet Cherry Way, which is in the Manors at the Meadows of Cherry Hills, a relatively new subdivision, which was an addition on the front of the original Meadows at Cherry Hills subdivision. Just to give you some proximity, the subdivision accesses Manchester Road near the roundabout at Taylor. This is the Deerberg Shopping Center. And then this is the Manors at the Meadows here in the front. The Meadows at Cherry Hills is in the back, and it's surrounded by the 7 villages of Cherry Hills to the west and the enclaves at Cherry Hills to the east. And the property is shown here in blue. This is a close-up of aerial of the property itself. You can see that it is a neo-traditional style home in our town center, meaning that the home is pushed to the front to the street and then has back alley access, which also is considered a front yard. And so that is the nature of the request. The lot, this shows the topographic lines, and in a rare site in Wildwood, it is completely flat. So we know we never see those. This is the street frontage. The property, the subject site is just to the right of the slide, and this driveway here is the access to the alley of Sweet Cherry Way. You're looking at rush hour traffic there on Manchester Road. Both sides of the street, this is Meadows of Cherry Hills, both sides of the street are the new traditional homes that are pushed forward to the sidewalk. And this is looking in the opposite direction towards the original subdivision of the Meadows at Cherry Hills. The subject site is now to the left and just off the slide. This is the subject site itself. It is in a row of 5 homes that access Sweet Cherry Way on this side of the street, and it is the only single-story home. I pieced together 2 photos here, and I kind of cut the subject site off in the middle, but you can see that it's a lower profile home, that all the others are 2-story, which is part of what we outline in our recommendation report, noting because a ranch has a larger footprint. This is the properties across the street. Now we're on Sweet Cherry Way, so we're in the alley. The subject site is off the slide to the left. We're looking towards the north. That's Wildwood Christian Church, just off Manchester Road. And now we're looking at the other direction where the alley terminates. Again, the subject site is off the slide just to the right, and then the homes back on the left are in the enclaves at Cherry Hills subdivision. This is the subject site itself. You can see the second, which really the first story, has the egress that needs some type of being built. This patio here is referenced in the plans, and the deck is to extend just about a foot beyond the patio for the piers of the decking to be placed. This is the home right across the street on Sweet Cherry Way, just to show you some surrounding properties. The next 4 slides I took to try and show that the ranch home, the subject site, extends further back into Sweet Cherry Way. So this home that you're seeing is the subject site. I'm looking to the north, and you notice you cannot see the structures of this property. So this property does extend further to the east. And now I'm standing at Petitioner's driveway looking. These are the other 2 properties. The first one does not have any exterior egress. And then this other one, the first home there to the north, does have an exterior egress, but it's recessed and the home is further back. So again, these are those 2 homes that we just looked at, and Petitioner's site on the left. And now we kind of do the same, looking the other direction. So now I'm looking to the south. I'm on Petitioner's patio, and you can see that you can't see the homes, but you can see the deck on the one just to the south. And again, these are the two homes that are just to the south of petitioner's site. This is referencing the public comments that were received. The petitioner submitted all 6 of their neighbors, submitted letters within support, and then a letter was received in opposition somewhere on this street, Cherry Orchard Drive, that they didn't use an address that extends up to that portion. This is showing the property itself. This is again the concrete patio I referenced, and deck is to go just about a foot beyond. And then there are plans of the deck. So Mr. Bunich and I would be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions right now for Ms. Arnett? All right, can the, or Director Bunich, did you want to say something?
Oh, ma'am, I was trying to find my mute button to make sure it was off.
All right,
Thank you, though.
okay, all right. Can the petitioner please state your name, address, and relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter?
This is Larissa Fernandez. My address is 115 Sweet Cherry Way.
And are you the owner of the property?
Yes.
And now can you please be sworn in by the court reporter?
Okay, what do I need to do?
She'll let you know. Hold on, Courtney, you're on mute. You're on mute, Courtney.
Sorry. Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Fernandez, can you please explain the nature of your request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance as it relates to the character of the property?
The nature of the request is to make the home complete with an exit sliding door to the back of the home. There is nowhere to obviously walk into, so it's basically to improve the home and have a better sale value if in the future by any chance it needs to be sold. The whole purpose of having the deck was obviously to go with the design purpose of the home. It was designed to have a deck, and this is the reason I'd like to add one.
All right, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. Are there any questions for the petitioner from the board members? All right, are there any speakers in the audience who want to speak in favor of opposition to the request, Kathy? All right.
Madam Chair, it looks as if Kathy froze up a little bit, so if you don't.
Okay. I was like, is she just ignoring me?
So.
Yeah,
Chair,
I'll wait till she gets back with us.
okay.
Mr. Newberry, can you see if there's any participants that have raised a hand to speak on this matter?
Yes. There are some in attendance, so I'll just give the instruction if you would like to address the board regarding this matter. If you use the raise hand feature in Zoom or put something in the chat, and I will let you in as a panelist to address the board. Madam Chair, if we could just give it a few moments.
Sure.
Madam Chair, I do not think there's any speakers from
All right.
participants.
All right. At this time, I'll offer the opportunity to hear an oral presentation of the department's report. See no request for that. Does the Department of Planning have any final comments?
Yes, Madam Chair, with your permission. Madam Chair and members of the board, the Department of Planning has prepared a recommendation report in this regard, and that recommendation report does support granting the variance. I would note that this is an unusual lot in that it has no rear yard area. It has 2 front yards and 2 side yards. And without the benefit of the variance, The deck that could be constructed would not be worth constructing, so to speak, given its small width. And the extent of encroachment into the front yard setback in this particular case is minimal, and the department believes it will have no impact. Therefore, again, we are recommending the board consider this request favorably. Madam Chair, if there are any questions, Ms. Arnett, Mr. Newberry, or I would be glad to try to answer them at this time. And thank you.
Thank you, Director Bunich. Are there any questions from the board or any final comments before we close the proceeding for a vote? All right. At this time, I'd like to call for a vote. Can we have a motion to approve, deny, or approve with conditions?
I'll approve, Mary.
You're making a motion to approve?
Yes, sorry.
All right. We have a motion to approve the variance as requested by Ms. Coleman. Do we have a second?
A second, please.
We have a second from Mr. Frank. All right. Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Sprunger, how do you vote?
Approve.
What's that? Mr. Sprunger?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Coleman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Your variance request has been approved. Thank you and have a wonderful night. All right. Can the next petition be read into the record?
Yes, Madam Chair. The second and final case tonight on the Board of Adjustments docket is BA 30-20, Darren and Joanne Smith, 18519 Great Meadow Road, Wildwood, Missouri, 63038, care of Steve Garski, Blake Construction, 612 Log Hill Court, Baldwin, Missouri, 63011. Request an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of retaining an existing single-family dwelling circa 2019 upon the property located at 18519 Great Meadow Road, St. Louis County locator number 25X410111, Lot 25 of the Estates at August Tavern Creek subdivision, which would thereby authorize a front yard setback distance of 40 feet in lieu of the 50-foot standard from the edge of right-of-way private roadway easement for Great Meadow Road, respectfully. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban Resident District of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance. This particular subject site is located in Ward 6. And Madam Chair, before Ms. Arnett provides the slide presentation, the department would like to enter into the record the following items regarding this matter. Chapter 400, Article 2, Board of Adjustment of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code. Chapter 415, the zoning ordinance of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular case and all contents contained therein, including the department's recommendation report. And then finally, any evidence, testimony, or other items discussed or part of tonight's public hearing regarding this case. Madam Chair, thank you. And with your permission, Ms. Arnett will proceed with share screen.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair and board members, this is an aerial of the surrounding area for the subject site. The subject site is in a subdivision known as August Tavern Creek. It is off Melrose Road, kind of in the southwestern portion of the city, off State Route 100. It is a large lot, single family detached subdivision. And the site is shown here in blue. And this main highway here is Highway 100, and this is Melrose Road. This is a closer up view of the site. You can see it was mostly wooded. The aerial has not been updated since the home was constructed last year. The property has frontage on Great Meadow Road and Thistle Hill and Walnut Valley. It does not have access to Walnut Valley, but but it does have 2 driveway access to each of these rows, which you'll see in the plans. This looks more like a typical Wildwood topographic map. There is flat area near Great Meadow Road, which is where the home was constructed, and then it drops a little more steeply to an ephemeral drainage way that comes through the back of the property just beyond the thicker wooded area. This is Great Meadow Road. The subject site is to the right. You can see a portion of the garage here. That's the petition site. And I'm standing literally in the middle of Great Meadow Road looking towards the southwest at sunset. And just again in Great Meadow Road, now looking towards the northeast. Subject site is off to the left. This is the property itself, the home itself, to which the variance has been requested for. This is the adjacent neighbor just across the street, across Great Meadow Road. And this is the Thistle Hill. So the petitioner's property is what's shown on the right. This is their landscaping at the corner. This is their driveway through part of their property, and then Thistle Hill kind of winds back around the corner. This is the property directly across Thistle Hill from the subject site. This is the petitioner's property showing the topographic slope at the rear of the property. This is the driveway access to Thistle Hill. This is the petitioner's site, now taken down from Great Meadow Road. Again, there's just a little bit of a grade out at the road frontage, and then it's a steeper drop behind to the rear of the property. This shows the impact of the variance, or the level of impact of the variance. You can see the road and the subject site here. So the request is for a 10-foot variance on portions of the front facade, and I'll show those on the next slide. These are the plans that were originally submitted and approved. So you can see it was shown at a 50-foot setback in compliance with the city's codes. But then this is the as-built that was completed after the home was constructed. There was a surveying error, and the measurement was taken from the roadway itself here, which is shown in kind of this orange, instead of being taken from the edge of right-of-way here. So the portions in red are the portions of the home that are encroaching into that 50-foot setback. So this portion here is the largest encroachment at just shy of 10 feet. And Mr. Bunich, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the board for Ms. Arnett or Director Bunich? All right, at this time, I'd like to call the petitioner forward and ask you to state your name, address, and relation to the property.
Mr. Garsky, if you could put your camera on and unmute. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not real good. This is my first Zoom, so I'm not real good at it.
Welcome.
And you're doing fine.
Can you please state your name, address, and relation to the property?
Steve Garsky, I'm the builder, 612 Log Hill Court. That's where I live.
Okay. And then can you be sworn in by the court reporter?
Yes, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Garsky, can you please explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance as it relates to the character of the property?
Yes, kind of in a nutshell. I had a surveyor, Dick Ramstein, actually do this, and I've done this for 20 years. The first time I've had one that's encroached on a property line or whatever, but the surveyor basically marked it out, and he unfortunately thought it was at the street, as Kathy said, and it wasn't. So the homeowners were financing the property, and they had a title or another survey done, and they found the variance, and so that's what I'm here for.
All right. Does anybody have any questions from the board for Mr. Garsky?
I hate to even ask this question because I think I already know the answer, but to remedy this and to be within a 50-foot setback, how would you do that?
Good question. Good question. That other than moving the house, that's about it.
Okay, well, I thought that was the answer, but I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something else
Yeah.
there that was missing, but I'm not, so.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Garsky? All right. Kathy, are there any speakers in the audience who want to speak in favor of or opposition to the request?
No one has their hand raised, but there are still a couple of participants. So maybe if we can wait a second. And if you are an attendee and would like to speak, if you could use the raise hand feature and we'll recognize you.
Nothing?
Nothing.
All right.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to offer the opportunity to hear an oral presentation of the department's report. Seeing no requests for that, I'll offer the Department of Planning an opportunity to make any final comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the board, the Department of Planning has prepared for your consideration tonight a recommendation report. The recommendation report does support granting the variance as requested by the petitioners. The department notes in its findings of fact that in this particular instance, the impact would seem to be minimal, given it's not the entirety of the house, but just certain segments associated with the dwelling. And truly, there would be no benefit to either moving the house or causing a portion of the house to be removed to comply to the 50-foot standard. Therefore, we do believe the variance meets the criteria of a unique circumstance and practical difficulty to generate the support of the board. Madam Chair, Mr. Newberry, Ms. Arnett, and I are available for any comments or questions regarding the report and recommendation, and thank you for the opportunity to present such.
Thank you, Director Vunich. Are there any other questions for Director Vunich before I close the proceeding for a vote?
No.
All right, I'd like to call for a vote. Do I have a motion to approve, deny, or approve with conditions?
I make a motion to approve the request.
We have a motion to approve from Mr. Sprunger. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And we have a second from Mr. Morris. Mr. Frank, how do you vote?
To approve?
Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sprunger, how do you vote?
Approve.
Ms. Coleman, how do you vote?
Approve.
And I also vote to approve the variance as requested. Your request has been approved. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry about all the hassle too. Thank you.
Your surveyor owes you a beer.
Yeah, more than that.
At least.
Thank you.
A lot
Thank
more
you.
than that.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Madam Chair, that's the last item on our agenda tonight. And this is the last meeting of the City of Wildwood in 2020.
Wow.
Closing the door on what has been a very interesting year.
Yeah, and interesting is one way to put it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And obviously, Mr. Newberry and Ms. Arnett and I would like to thank you all for your service this year. It has been an unusual year and you've excelled at it. You've kept us kind of moving forward. So we can't say enough but about your efforts, and we do thank you. And I pass that on to Ms. Tallman, who's never wavered and been with us as well. So we appreciate all your service and we wish you the best of the holiday season.
I'm
Yes.
glad to be back. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, good to
Yeah.
see you again.
Good.
All
Thank
right.
you and have a great Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody.